Hi, hello, and welcome to the last look that we're going to be doing for this mini-series, and it's also one that I'm really excited about because while I had actually done iterations or the same looks for the previous two looks, this look I've had on my mind for a while, but I haven't actually executed it before, so I'm really excited for that. As usual, I already have foundation, concealer, eyeshadow primer, my brows on, so we're just going to start off with the color cosmetics on my face. I'm going to grab for the Makeup by Mario Soft... what is this again? I can never remember the name of this product. The Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. It is a beautiful neutral tone bronzer and I absolutely love it when I'm doing somewhat cooler toned looks. And I thought we could very briefly touch upon, because I would actually prefer to just do a pet pairing or some sort of a video where I feature Pat McGrath Labs, where I can talk about the upcoming Louis Vuitton release. But since it's on my mind and since I think it's on a lot of your minds and probably you are curious to hear a little bit my thoughts, I thought I would give you like a glimpse, because I'm honestly still thinking about it and still really trying to form an opinion and my thoughts. Also, very interestingly, I sort of hit pan on this product as I was talking to you, which is remarkable. I somehow thought that the pan was a lot deeper than that. Okay, so apparently it's not super difficult to hit pan on this bronzer. This is not a bronzer that I use every day. I do use it often enough. I really enjoy this product, so I use it often enough. But I was quite surprised that I already hit pan on it because I've only had it for about a year. Anyway, that makes me happy because it's also the kind of product that's not going to last for a very long time, so I would rather make the most use out of it. The same goes for the blush from the same line. This is the Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in the shade Barely Blushing, which is also a gorgeous shade of blush. I really like this blush. Anyway, that was not the topic. This whole year I haven't really been excited. Besides Metamorphosis, there hasn't really been a release I think that I've been really excited about. And earlier in the year, when Pat McGrath announced together with Louis Vuitton that they were teaming up for her to be the creative director of their upcoming makeup brand, I got quite excited. I got quite excited because of Pat. That's the problem, right? I don't care one bit for Louis Vuitton. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think I care about any particular fashion house because they've always been something that's very much outside of my price range. And at this point in my life, even if I could afford to buy something, I think I'm too pragmatic and too Eastern European for it. Like I said, the draw for me in this launch was Pat herself. I did not care one bit for the Louis Vuitton brand itself. I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. I think Louis Vuitton is still rather popular, also with the younger generation. I still see a lot of people around here who carry Louis Vuitton bags. I'm going to grab the Victoria Beckham Beauty Cream Stick Highlighter in the shade Pearl. This is another product that I think I'm actually going to pan eventually because it is one that I use a lot. I really like this highlighter. It's the most beautiful lit from within kind of sheen that you could put on your face. There's really no color to the shade Pearl. It's more of a transparent base and it just gives the most beautiful sheen on the cheekies. Anyway, the thing is, to me, and I think that's really where I want to leave it at, because you're probably wondering, am I going to buy something? And the short answer right now is that I don't know. I was very hyped for this release. I was convinced that I'm going to buy at least one lipstick and one eyeshadow palette because I would like to see what the eyeshadow formula is like. By the way, I'm going to take a little bit of the Prada Reset Rebalancing Powder just on my sponge now, and I'm going to lightly set the cream products on my face just so they last a bit longer because they're quite luminous and I do get quite oily. So I think this powder in particular, because it doesn't really mattify, just kind of adds this most natural layer of powder on your face that is completely undetectable but still somewhat sets the products on the face. I'm going to now set everything with a little bit of a fixing spray. This is the one from Charlotte Tilbury. To me, whenever I've looked at anything from a luxury brand, or I've thought, okay, even let's say I'm fantasizing about purchasing a luxury bag, to me it's always been the case that I had agreed with myself that I have to look at the product and it has to be able to stand on its own feet. Meaning, I need to love the aesthetic of the product. It should be something that I want to buy regardless of which brand it is. So just as a little exercise for myself, I've done this with bags. You're zoomed in, so let's get started on the eye look. I'm going to take the Pulse Quad and this beautiful taupe shade right here, and that's going to go all over my lid and blend it through the crease. So like I said, I've done this exercise with luxury bags. I've gone on Vestiaire Collective and I've looked at luxury bags regardless of their price or the brand, and I've just, you know, fantasized for myself, okay, which of these bags really speaks to me and I would gladly wear out and about. And in case you were curious, for me that would be the Lady Dior bag. I think the Lady Dior bag fits my aesthetic really, really well. Anyway, going back to the Louis Vuitton makeup launch, I kind of look at this launch in the same way. I look at this launch and I think, would I buy this specific makeup line just by looking at it and thinking, wow, this looks stunning, and this would be something that fits my aesthetic and I would get a lot of joy out of. Because initially, of course, I think we were all excited, or a lot of us here were excited, not because of Louis Vuitton. Maybe some of you are fans of Louis Vuitton, but not to my knowledge. But a lot of us were excited because Pat is involved in it. And I know a lot of you will look at this brand now because, of course, they've announced the prices, and the prices are pretty jaw-dropping for a luxury, even within the realm of luxury makeup lines. Their pricing is about twice as much as that of Hermes. I associate Hermes a lot more with luxury and exclusivity compared to Louis Vuitton. I feel like I see people carrying Louis Vuitton accessories and bags all the time, whereas I never really see anyone carrying a Birkin bag. So to me, I associate Hermes much more with that kind of like quiet luxury and exclusivity, much more than Louis Vuitton. So when we heard that the prices of the Louis Vuitton makeup brand are set at twice as much as Hermes, that was a pretty jaw-dropping moment. So I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm just going to take the tiniest bit of this darker brown here from the Poetry Quad now, because I want to somewhat deepen the outer corners, but like somewhat, just a kiss of definition here in the outer edge of the eye. But once I heard the prices, my interest dramatically dropped, because as much as I love Pat, I just don't care enough for the Louis Vuitton brand. Now that we've seen the release though, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because like I said, I'm still making up my mind about whether I want to try something, but I think you should look at it in a different way than you've been looking at luxury brands releasing makeup lines. This is clearly not your typical makeup line release. It's not like when Prada released their makeup. This is clearly more of like a fashion brand releasing additional accessories that are more accessible to the average and above average income consumer. One thing I want to like add here, I cannot stand the comments of people who see the pricing of this makeup brand and they say, ugh, how dare they in this economy and state of the world? Because I think, are you insane? Like, luxury fashion brands have never been targeted at the average consumer. They've always been targeted at the wealthy consumer. Luxury fashion houses have survived 2 world wars. What about the state of the world now, or the economy, is so different compared to other eras in the not so distant past? Luxury fashion houses have persevered because there are people out there who are pretty wealthy. You and I may not know them, you and I may not be one of them, but they exist. And to them $160 for a lipstick is peanuts, nothing. It wouldn't even make a little dent in their wallets. So I think I'm really tired of hearing that argument from people. I understand it's because they were hoping for pricing that is a little bit more within their range. I understand the frustration with that, but that still doesn't grant comments like in this economy or in this state of the world, because come on, please. Next, I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to use the same brush that I used for the outer corner, and I'm going to take the beautiful cooler toned metallic shade from the Pulse Quad, and I'm also too lazy to apply glitter glue, so I'm just going to go straight like this over my lids to apply a little bit of that shimmery shade onto the lids. And I think I'm actually going to pop it in my inner corners as well, because I don't really think there's another eyeshadow here that I can use as an inner corner highlight, and I do kind of want to stick to these quads. Okay, now for the most fun part of this look, I am going to take the Poetry Quad, and of course we're going to do a pop of green on the lower lashes because I think this green eyeshadow fits very well with the dress that I have on today. So let's do a little bit of that. I don't know that I grabbed the right brush for this. You know, I think this brush is too big. Let me grab a somewhat smaller pencil brush, something that is a little bit more pointed and targeted, and that's the way I'm going to apply the green eyeshadow. So I don't know. It may very well be that I don't purchase anything, or it may very well be that I grab something, because aesthetically speaking, I do think the brand stands on its own feet. The packaging of the products does look rather gorgeous and rather... I'm going to take a little bit of this Kiko eyeshadow stick. This one is in the shade 10, a long ago discontinued shade, but I'm going to pop that here in my waterline, and then I'm going to set it with the eyeshadow because I want to have a very bright, prominent pop of color on the lower lashes. I really want it to pop. Full disclosure, I always apply this eyeshadow from Bobbi Brown here. This is the Luxe eyeshadow in the shade Lunar from her like Blitz Astral type formula when I do this like taupe look. So that's what I'm going to do today. You saw the look without it, and now I'm going to do what I always do, which is apply a little bit of that beautiful pink reflecting sparkle onto the center of the lid because I think it complements this look absolutely perfectly. As you can see, it doesn't really change the look significantly, but I can promise you in artificial lighting, it just creates the most beautiful twinkly effect. Anyway, on my lips I have the Velvet Matte from Lisa Eldridge in the shade Blush, because I wanted to have something colorful on the lips, but I didn't want it to be too vibrant. I wanted to be a bit more muted and also create a bit of contrast with the green dress and the lower lashes. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this is my absolute favorite out of the 3 looks that I created in the past few days. Not to say the other 2 looks were bad or I didn't enjoy them, but just right now, at where I stand in my makeup preferences, this is my absolute favorite look. I absolutely love it. I've mentioned it in the past, but when it comes to the Pulse Quad, the 2 neutral taupe eyeshadows are just absolute chef's kiss. I love them so much. I was too preoccupied talking about the Louis Vuitton makeup, so I didn't have time to mention how much I love these eyeshadows when I was applying them, so I thought it's important to mention it again. What can I say? I hope you enjoyed this little mini series. If you're ever interested in me expanding upon this series, do let me know, but I think for now I will leave it at that because I actually have an idea for a different series that I would like to start in the near future, especially with the fall months upon us. Anyway, I'm going to run off to work now. Let's continue chatting in the comments. As usual, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!